from Hieroglyphic Staircase by Drew Dellinger. It's 3:23 in the morning, and I'm awake because my great-great-grandchildren won't let me sleep. My great-great-grandchildren ask me in dreams, "What did you do? What did you do while the planet was plundered? What did you do when the earth was unraveling? Surely you did something when the seasons started failing. As the mammals, reptiles, birds were all dying, did you fill the streets with protest when democracy was stolen? What did you do once you knew?" I remember I heard Drew perform that poem when I was serving as an intern minister with you all during my seminary training over a decade ago. As I darted between classes and up here on the hill and down at Occupy Wall Street, Occupy Oakland, the encampment, and up here trying to figure out how to tell the right story, just the right children's story each week, that poet's question hit home for me. What did you do once you knew? What was I doing in this precarious moment in time, this moment ripe with both ruin and possibility? I was struck by an idea by the social scientist Elise Boulding at the time. She says that to answer questions like that, to seek an ethical participation in our human community at this time, in our relationship with the world, it requires a shift in our perspective on time. She talked about a 200-year present. She says the present moment spans from the moment that the oldest person that you know was born until the youngest person that you know will pass on. The person oldest in our family until just a few weeks ago was Caitlin's grandma. She died just earlier this month at age 98. Grandma Mimi, born in 1924, whose closet was full of glamorous ankle-length furs, dressing gowns for every occasion. And the youngest person in our family has yet to be born, conceived just a few months ago, our niece-to-be, Julia, who will be born in 2024, who will most likely live to see the 22nd century. From the time Grandma Mimi was born until that time when Julia will pass on, can I imagine that as the present moment? When I do, I'm overwhelmed by the pace of change in our 200-year present. When I imagine Mimi's parents giving birth to their children in the 1920s, she was born on Christmas Day, and the doctor came to their rural home on a sleigh, and her sister heard the sleigh bell and thought it must be Santa Claus. Her work for years was to paint color into black and white photos. I don't think her parents giving birth in the 1920s could have imagined this world their daughter passed out of. Just as I'm sure I can't fathom the world that Julia will grow old in. Driverless cars are already roaming the streets of San Francisco. She might never learn how to drive. And that's what I can imagine. The pace of change in this 200-year present, it surpasses anything our species has ever known. And just as we need to elongate our thinking, to imagine, as peoples have for millennia before us, time in longer and longer stretches. Our attention spans are getting shorter and shorter. It seems we can't make decisions past the next financial quarter. It seems our attention spans have gotten, they studied this, from an average of 12 seconds down to 8 seconds just in the first 10 years of smartphones being around. And I was struck by something I heard the life coach Tony Robbins say about this. He said that people overestimate what they can accomplish in a day or a week. Anybody familiar with this experience? Yeah. Overestimate what they accomplish in a day or a week, but underestimate what they can accomplish in 10 or 15 years. We overestimate what we can accomplish in a day or a week, but underestimate what we can accomplish in 10 or 15 years. Like the river that simply runs its course any given day or week, but shapes canyons, cuts pathways through the lands, reorganizes continents in geological time. Our most important work runs through the long arc of time. David Abrams is a philosopher who imagined trying to understand time through our physical senses. We have these abstract concepts, he said, of past and future, that our language lets us dissociate from our physical reality. But he wondered, where do we find those experiences of past and future in our bodily experience, in our reality of contact with the world? And he said that the horizon, of course, we can readily see that horizon. Well, you can't quite see it in here, but a little bit, if you look carefully. The horizon which represents to us the future, which we feel ourselves knowing that if we moved in that direction, we would come upon something eventually that is different. The horizon which has always spoken to us of possibility. But he said, you can't just turn around and see the past and the other horizon. As soon as you've turned around, that horizon is also future. The past, he realized, is the ground beneath us. The past, we literally stand on that which has come before. And so this is the conversation I hope to have with you through this first year of ministry with you, the ground and the horizon. I want to hear about your ground, your past, your history here with this church, and the history you know of this land we inhabit. And I want to hear about your horizons, your hopes and dreams for the future, for this church and for our wider community, for our world. So we'll get organized over the next month or so. If you have a home that you'd like to host one of these conversations, I'm imagining we'll gather in groups of 8 or 10 and ask questions, share stories, and dream together about what possibilities we might live into. The horizon leans forward, offering you space to place new steps of change. Here on the pulse of this fine day, you may have the courage to look up and out upon me, the rock, the river, the tree, your country, and say simply, very simply with hope, good morning. Good morning. Good morning. So glad to be here. And amen.